Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. The discussion today is about the labor market equilibrium, and this is still under the overview of the labor economics. The discussion about labor market equilibrium involves the demand for labor and the supply of labor. To understand the position of the labor market in the economy, let's consider this diagram first. Our highlight from this diagram is to focus in this area between labor and firms. Over here, we find the interactions between workers and firms. Workers basically provide the skills needed by firms in the production process, and in return, firms would pay the workers in terms of wages and salaries, and there are terms of employment as well as level of employment required by the firms. Given this diagram, we find that the demand for workers is made by the firms and the supply of workers is made by the households. So let's start with the demand for workers. Consider this table. It shows the labor demand schedule for a hypothetical industry. The first column shows the wage rate in terms of dollar, and the second column shows the number of desired employment. In other words, this is the demand for workers by these particular firms. What we can find in this schedule is as the level of wage rates keeps rising from $3 to $8, the level of desired employment by this firm keeps declining. Therefore, there is an inverse relationship between the level of wage rate and the level of employment. Therefore, based on that information, we can plot those information and have our labor demand curve as shown here. The vertical axis measures the wage rate per hour, and then the horizontal axis measures the number of workers. And as we put all the information into this diagram, we find the downward sloping shape of the demand curve for labor. So here we find that as the wage rate goes up, the level of employment starts to decline. When the wage rate is low at $3, we find that the level of employment is at 320 number of workers as indicated here. And as the wage rate gets higher, let's say $8 per hour, now the level of employment is now much lower at 70 number of workers. So this is what we call the labor demand curve. Very common to many of you. Another thing for you to note is the concept of movement along the labor demand curve and shift of the labor demand curve. A movement along the labor demand curve is because of the change in the wage rate. That's number one. If we look at this diagram, and based on our earlier discussion, when the wage rate goes up from $3 to $8, this describes the movement along the demand curve. There is also another important concept, that is the shift of the demand curve. And this demand curve can shift to the right or it can shift to the left. There are many factors that can result in the shift of the demand curve other than the change in price. What are the factors that can shift the labor demand curve? Here are some of them. Number one, when there is a change in the product demand that are produced by this type of worker. When there is a change in product demand, let's say there is higher demand for certain type of products produced by our workers. this will increase the price of that product, and as a consequence of that, the increase in the price of the product will increase the value of marginal revenue product of workers, and therefore this will increase the demand for labor. That's number one. Number two, the labor demand also can shift because of a change in the productivity level. Assuming that change in productivity doesn't cause an offsetting decline in product price, therefore, an increase in productivity of labor will increase the demand for labor. That's number two. Number three, labor demand also can shift when there is a change in the price of other resources. For example, these other resources can either be gross complement or gross substitute. In the case of gross complement, that means we need to combine the inputs of our workers and the inputs of these other resources in our production process. Therefore, an increase in the price of a complement input or resource will decrease the labor demand in the production of that particular product. On the other hand, if the other resources here is a gross substitute, an increase in the price of the substitute input will decrease the demand for labor. Please think about examples to show which are the substitute input for worker and which are the complement inputs for workers. And number four, labor demand can shift to the left or to the right when there is a change in the number of employers. That means if there are more firms requiring the same workers, therefore that would increase the demand for that workers. You can imagine in the case of government is opening more universities. Universities represent the number of employers. Now, these universities would demand more lecturers to meet the teaching needs of each faculties. So those are some of the factors that can shift the demand curve. Please remember that. In this diagram, we have an example of the shift in the demand curve due to fall in the capital price. In this example, we consider capital as the other resources. Remember in the discussion about factors that can shift the labor demand curve, point number 3 is about change in the price of other resources. This is one example where capital can be substitute to labor or capital can be complement to labor. For figure A, please ignore this term scale effect at the moment because we will discuss more about this when we come to a chapter on the demand for labor. Now let's take a case when the price of capital is falling. Due to the falling capital price, firms now can get more capital at a much cheaper cost or cheaper price. Therefore, that would boost the production of that goods produced by these firms. And this is basically the idea of scale effect. Higher production of that products. And because capital here is a complement to labor, a falling price of capital means the firm now can use more capital, and when the firm is using more capital, the firm also needs to hire more workers. And as a consequence of this, the demand for labor by this firm would shift to the right. On the other side, when we consider figure B, again we start with the falling capital price, and in this case we assume that capital is substitute input to labor, So falling price of capital means firms now would use more capital in the production process, and because of that, this firm no longer requires to use more labor. And as a consequence of that, the firm's demand for labor is declining. And that is shown by the shift to the left of this labor demand curve. So this diagram basically is related to point 3 in our earlier discussion. Before I move to the next discussion that is on the supply of labor, I want to bring your attention to this discussion. That is to understand the concept of demand for worker at various levels. Let's focus on these 3 levels of demand for labor. Let's say you have a firm that provides the services to repair aircrafts. In this case, your firm needs to hire mechanics. That will give us a firm's demand for mechanics to repair aircrafts. A combination of many firms in that industry, aircraft repair industry, would make up the industry demand for mechanics that have the skills to repair aircrafts. And then the third level of demand is the market demand for mechanics. And this market demand for mechanics will involve all industries, not just the aircraft industry, but also other industries such as automotive, electronics, and many more. So I hope you understand these 3 levels of demand. It can be at a firm level, industry level, and the market level. Let's now move to the supply of labor. In this example, it shows the market supply curve for paralegals. Paralegals are the assistant to lawyers. So this is the supply curve. The labor supply curve is an upward sloping curve. It shows a positive relationship between wage rate and the supply of labor. When the wage rate is low, such as let's say at $3 per hour, therefore the supply of labor in this case is represented by, let's say, 5 number of paralegals. However, when the wage rate goes up, let's say to $8 per hour, now we find that many more people in the economy with the right skills are willing to offer their skills and knowledge as paralegals. And let's say now this can be 15 number of paralegals. So it shows the positive relationship between the wage rate and the number of labor. And over here, the change in price here has caused a movement along the supply curve. So here we have the concept of movement along the supply curve of labor. Other than the change in the wage rate, that will cause shift in the labor supply curve. What are some of the factors that can shift the labor supply curve? The first one is when there is a change in other wage rates. For example, someone who can work as paralegals with the same qualification, they can also apply for other jobs. And now let's assume that there is an increase in the wage rate for secretary. These people with paralegals qualification can also apply for secretarial job. Because of the change in other wages, therefore it shifts the supply of paralegals. Now less supply of paralegals take place in the economy, and the supply curve for paralegals shift to the left. Number 2, when there is a change in non-wage income. Let's say that the government is paying a universal basic income to its citizen. A universal basic income or UBI is a public transfer payment that is given to everyone in the economy regardless of their income level. This type of transfer payment is one example of non-wage income. And due to this, we can assume that the labor supply curve for paralegals would shift, let's say, to the left, because less people now are willing to supply their skills in the market because they are now getting universal basic income from the government. Number 3, when there is a change in the preferences for work versus leisure. Let's say because of the COVID-19, many people have been working from home for about 1 year now, and this has changed their preferences between work and leisure. Let's assume that because of this, many people now are enjoying to stay at home. And as a consequence of the change in preferences here, this can shift the labor supply curve to the left, meaning that less supply of labor in the economy. The next factor that may shift the labor supply curve is the non-wage aspects of the job. An example of non-wage aspect of a job can be in terms of the working conditions, such as better office spaces, better facilities, and many other aspects. This may improve the supply of labor in the economy. So as a consequence of an improvement in the non-wage aspect of the job, this can shift the supply of labor to the right. And lastly is the number of qualified suppliers of that particular jobs. For example, if there are more suppliers for a particular jobs, such as more universities now are opening up faculties that can provide diploma or degree in education, the increase in more education faculties would mean more supply of teachers in the economy. And as a consequence of that, the supply of teacher in the economy will shift to the right. These are 5 factors that would shift the labor supply curve. Once we understand the concept of labor demand and labor supply, in this diagram, we are combining the two curves. So here we have the downward sloping demand curve for labor and the upward sloping supply curve of labor. The intersection between these two curves give us the equilibrium wage rate and the equilibrium level of employment in the economy. What we can say in this case is at this equilibrium wage rate, the labor market clears. However, if the wage rate is at W1, that means firms would consider this wage rate is cheaper, and therefore firms would want to hire more workers given at this point, while households would consider W1 is too cheap, therefore not many of households are willing to offer themselves as labor in this market. So it is shown by this point. And over here, the demand exceeds the supply of worker, and in this case, we have a shortage of worker. When there is disequilibrium in the economy, such as a case of shortage of labor, there will be an automatic adjustment in the labor market, where in this case, firms start to offer much higher wage rate in order to attract more workers. This upward pressure on the wage rate would slowly reduce the shortage of labor problem in the market, and the adjustment in the wage rate would settle at WE. Slowly the adjustment will take place. This is one case how the invisible hand process takes place in the economy. In Islam, we say this is the qadar of Allah Ta'ala, how He provides the provision and He controls the resources and allocation of everything in this world. In this diagram, we want to make the distinction between the demand and supply at the market and the firm's level. In my earlier example, when we combine both the labor demand curve and the labor supply curve, we establish the concept of the equilibrium wage rate and the equilibrium level of employment. And that's basically is shown by figure A over here. And in this case, we have established the market for labor. Let's assume that our firm is operating in a competitive labor market. So let's note here, a competitive labor market. By a competitive labor market, it means that there are many firms wanting to hire many workers, and there are also many households willing to offer their skills and knowledge as labor in the economy. In a competitive labor market, firms will be a wage taker. So note the term wage taker. In a competitive product market, we have the term price taker for the firm. But in this case, we have the term wage taker. In this example, figure B shows the demand and supply of labor by a firm. This firm, operating in a competitive labor market, cannot have much influence in the wage rate. The firm will take the market wage rate over here, WE, and this is the wage rate that this firm will consider in terms of its demand for labor. Therefore, let's say given WE, a single firm would hire L1 level of worker shown by this point. I hope you can see the difference between the market and a firm. In this diagram, we want to show the change in the labor market equilibrium. Very quickly, let's note that WE is the initial position in the economy, where this is the initial equilibrium point. Now let's assume something is happening in the labor market that causes the demand for labor to shift to the right. Please think of one example that can result in the shift to the right of the demand curve. We have discussed this in the earlier discussion. What will happen in this case is, assuming the supply of labor unchanged, now there is a new equilibrium point given by this position, and we can see that at this new equilibrium point, there is a much higher wage rate in the economy, and there is also a much higher level of equilibrium employment now required by the economy. Of course, this is another case where there can be a new equilibrium point in the economy when there is a shift to the left by the labor supply curve. Assuming WE as the initial equilibrium wage rate, so this is the initial equilibrium point. Because of the shift in the supply curve, therefore, now we have this point as our new equilibrium. Again, in this case, there is a much higher equilibrium wage rate, but what happened now? The new equilibrium point, there is much lower level of employment in the economy. From a worker's perspective, the first scenario, which is this one, is more desirable to them. Why this is desirable to the workers? Because workers now enjoy much higher wage rate and there are also more employment level. In this example, the second one, this is less desirable to the workers because the level of employment now is declining despite the much higher improvement in the wage rate. To continue further with this analysis, this is another possibility where we find that the supply curve shifts to the right, and as a consequence of that, the new equilibrium wage rate is much lower than the initial wage rate. And at the new equilibrium point, we find that the level of employment is much higher than before the change happens. Firms would be happy with this case because now they can hire more workers at a much lower wage rate in the economy. In this figure, we want to consider the effects of an above market wage. What do we mean by an above market wage? It is indicated by WH over here. WE is the initial employment level, and we will take WE as our reference wage rate. Let's say there is an adjustment in the economy causing the wage rate to be much higher as shown by WH. As a consequence of this, we find that the supply of labor now is much higher given by this point. However, firms are not happy with this higher wage rate, therefore firms would only demand V level of employment. The difference is shown by Y minus V, and because the supply as shown by point Y is larger while V is smaller, so over here we have a case of surplus of labor in the economy. If the labor market is flexible, market would take its cost to adjust the wage rate back to the equilibrium point WE. A minimum wage policy would trigger this situation. When government introduces a minimum wage policy, we can now replace WH with W min to indicate minimum wage. So this is equal to WH. Government would introduce the minimum wage when the equilibrium wage is too low for workers in the economy. In Malaysia, we have the minimum wage policy, and as a consequence of the minimum wage policy, there will be surplus of labor in the economy. Many workers want to offer their skills and knowledge in the job market, but not many firms are willing to pay that higher wage rate. Therefore, one consequence of the minimum wage policy is more unemployment because of the policy. And remember that a minimum wage policy creates an inflexible to the labor market. Market no longer can adjust to address the issue of surplus of labor in the economy because the wage rate has been locked at W min. So the automatic adjustment in the market no longer working in that case. Moving to this diagram, this is a case of a below equilibrium wage. WL shows a case where the wage rate is much lower than the equilibrium wage rate. And in this case, we will find that firms would demand more workers given by point Y, while households are not happy with much lower wage rate here. Therefore, there are only V level of labor offered by the households. And as a consequence of Y minus V, we will have shortage of workers in this case. Again, if market is flexible, the adjustment will push the wage rate higher so that we can get back to the equilibrium wage rate. Now let's consider the labor supply curve for military. And let's say that the military is to hire L1 number of people, and to hire L1, it must pay W1 wage rate. Let's consider W1 is a relatively low wage rate, and not many people therefore are attracted to join the military. Only those who consider the military culture and the risks associated with it to be tolerable and they are so attracted to be part of the military family. So at that W1 wage rate, it will only attract those who most enjoy the military culture and least averse to the risk associated with the job. Now let's say the military needs to hire large number of people, and that's shown by L2. To hire L2, the military needs to pay W2 wage level. This higher wage is required to attract those who would have found a military career unattractive at the lower wage rate W1. And let's say that W2 is the wage that equates the supply and demand for military. Therefore, if military pays W2 wage rate, everyone who would have joined up for less would be receiving an economic rent. So this is the concept of economic rent. I think that's all for this time. We have discussed the labor demand curve, the labor supply curve. We have seen various possibilities of the labor market equilibrium, the changes that can happen in the labor market. And the last one here, we discussed about the concept of economic rent in the context of labor economics. Inshallah, I'll see you again in another discussion. Thank you. Wassalam.